I let's try this again. Welcome to the Global Sunday Show. I'm sorry. We got disconnected somehow. But as you know, technology, we can't defeat technology. Although we're the creators of technology, somehow it defeats us. Welcome back. I was live on my personal Facebook page, but I'll see if I can be live again as time goes on. But without wasting any time, I'm just gonna introduce um, Mr. Laden on the show. Mr. Laden, welcome to the Global Sunday Show. You
Hello.
know what?
How?
If you could see the screen right now, you would be like, "Oh, the frame disappeared," because we don't have
Yeah,
a frame.
there was a great man. His name was James C. Corman, and he was a congressman in the United States for 21 years. And what he used to always say was, computers are not here to stay.
Ah, oh, that's interesting.
They're
That's
only, they'll be around as long as I'm around because computers are here to make my life difficult. But once I'm gone, everything will go back to reality.
so they were created specifically for you.
To torment me, yes. That's why the name of my phone is Arch Nemesis. If you check your Bluetooth devices, if you're near me, one is Arch Nemesis. That's my phone.
How was your week though?
Well, my
Beside
week
the
was
fact that technology made it worse, but you know,
no,
I'm sure there are other good things that happened.
my week was good. This week is a very important week in my world, in the world of classical ballet.
Mhm.
It's the week where the Prix de Lausanne started in 1973. It's like the Oscars.
Hmm.
If in the Prix de Lausanne, you will have an international career. You will be in the history books. You will become legend immediately. And later in the show, we're going to announce the 16-year-old who just won that honor just a few hours ago.
Mm.
So this week has been a very intense week. My associate artistic director, Rainer Krenstetter, who has been a guest on the show twice,
Hmm.
uh, and he is on the jury, which is a very esteemed thing. He won that prize in 1999,
Wow.
and it's still a huge international career. And
Wow.
so this week has been very exciting for me and communicating with Reiner and watching all of the students compete. So it's been a wonderful time.
You haven't mentioned and I'm saying this for a purpose of perhaps the person who's watching at home, they're like, Prix Lausanne, what is that? Jury for what? And what is it about? Is it is it a running competition? Is it a skiing competition? Is it a flying competition? What
Well,
is it?
if it were a BS competition, you'd win it. No, it is for classical. Well, not just classical ballet.
Mhm.
Um, Classical theatrical dancing.
Mm.
What that means is it includes classical ballet, but contemporary, and even when you have some of the street dancing and some of the more contemporary ways of dancing, when it goes into a theater
Mhm.
and you go and you buy a ticket to go and watch a concert, that is what is classical theatrical dancing. And there it is, all of the students from all over the world
Mhm.
compete, or they enter, they get down. There were about 485 final entries, and of those 80 were selected. Then across 4 days of competition, watching them in class, working with the greatest choreographers and teachers alive,
Mhm.
it whittles it down to 20. And then today, those 20 competed, and there are each one, there's actually this year is the first year that there were more male dancers than female dancers. And
Mm.
go through, each one does a classical variation in front of the jury, and then each one does a contemporary variation. And then those 20 had the final heat was today, and what it does is it finds the best. promising upcoming student alive.
That's on the new. Is that on the news today?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Sorry. My bad. I
Well, none of
should.
what I said is going to be on the news today. Other stuff will be on the news today, but I will talk about that. Yes.
I shouldn't have. Yeah, I shouldn't have asked a lot of questions. I didn't realize it was on the news today, but that's fine. That's fine. Um, yeah. Well, my week was great. I'm meeting a lot of African friends, which is really really interesting for me because I haven't been to Africa for almost like a couple of years, and having people that will remind me because I mean when you're away from home regarding the fact that you've been there for the rest of your life, there are things that get washed away, and you turn to forget them, and until somebody can come and remind you all those things, and it's just fantastic. It's fun. So yeah, I've been meeting a lot of African, and what I realize is the more I learn about other people's culture, the more I learn about my culture as well, which is really interesting. And it's the more I acknowledge the things that I never acknowledged in my culture, so I find it very interesting. Most of the topics this year about culture, spirituality, all those kind of things. So it's really interesting, eh, including with American citizens. So it's really great. I love it. Yeah, yeah.
No, I've also, obviously, I've met these young people as well, and in my life, I'm 71 years old. I've maybe spent 18 of those years in the United States. The rest of my life has been traveling all over the world, and
Mm,
and I also remember what's out there, when I meet these incredible young people,
mm,
and culture. And you're right, when you learn about other cultures, you learn about your own. Yes, that has also been a very wonderful part of this week for me as well.
yeah. So today we have the global news, and we also have learn IsiZulu. You're gonna learn a new word. Yeah. Shout out to all the people who are practicing their Zulu, and when they see me, they try to practice their Zulu. Shout out to you guys. I mean, it's fantastic to know other languages as well. I'm also trying to challenge myself learning other languages. I don't know. In Africa, we have I can't even maybe I can estimate how many languages do we have in Africa? Over hundreds. If hundreds, I think hundreds is very less.
I don't know.
Probably almost 1,000.
I was going to say, in India alone, there I think is 119 languages
Right.
just in. That's not Africa. Obviously, Africa is so much larger than India. That's got to be in the thousands.
Right. So okay, so 3,000 languages. We just did a Google search and it's 3,000 languages. How insane. So I mean there's a lot of tasks to do, Even for myself, I have a lot of languages that I need to learn. I know I'm not going to learn all of them, but I have tasks to do, So yeah, I'm trying to challenge myself. I'm gonna learn a lot of African languages and then learn other languages from outside Africa as well. Just to create a communication. So I think it's fantastic. It's fantastic. So shout out to all the people that practicing their Zulu and learning their Zulu when they see me like Sawubona, Sawubona. And then sometimes the person who like, when you're thinking of something and you're not aware of what you're doing because you are in your mind. So they would come to me and they would like hug me like that, and they would like um and I'm like, okay, who's this? And then what are they trying to say? And then they say Sawubona, and I'm like, oh, okay. I think that is hilarious. So shout out to all those people. Don't be afraid. Keep coming to me and saying hi, Sawubona, Unjani, whatever that we've learned. And today we're gonna catch up. And we'll remind you what we learned in the previous weeks if you are new on the show. Yeah, shall we take a break and go to the news, or you wanted to say something about language? Last comment.
No, no. I mean, what I guess the only thing I would say about language is
Mm,
with each language, there's a different way of thinking, and there's a different way of processing the world around you. And when you learn a new language, you learn a new culture,
Mm-hmm.
and you grow so much inside of yourself. And
Mm.
so I encourage all of you out there watching to learn, even if you just learn like one poem in a different language and find out what it means. That exposure really, really grows you,
Mm.
and it makes you expand, and it makes you much more, I don't know, in harmony with the whole world around you.
Yeah.
Think of nature. Every kind of flower is like a different language, and they're all beautiful.
What's the best way to learn a language?
Best way of learning a language is called immersion, and that is go to the place where that's what they speak.
Mm.
And within probably 3 weeks, you'll be able to have a basic conversation. If you
Mm.
study languages in school, they often will teach you grammar and spelling and the history of words and vocabulary all at the same time, and it's a bit overwhelming.
Mm.
If you go to a place, be there for a couple of months, then go to school, then you can learn what all of those grammar rules are that you know, that you've already learned, and
Right.
learn what they're called and how they work.
Right.
But that is the best way to pick up the language. And young children learn language much
Very
quicker.
quickly. Yeah.
School age children, like 2, 3, 4 years old, they in a couple of days they're speaking language.
Yeah, I know. I know that. I know from me. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I'm a 4-year old. I learn very quickly.
I mean your biological age, not your.
Ah.
I forgot the end of that sentence.
Ay, what's it? Come on, what's it? Come on, so every time I say this introduction, like come on, sometimes I say it very quickly, and then people are like when they see me like what did you just say? You know, like like no, it's like an introduction that we do. It's like rap. It's like rap. But maybe we'll talk about that when we come back from the news. Welcome if you're watching on Instagram. Go to Facebook, the Global Sunday Show, Diverse Global Studios. Go on Diverse Global TV or go on our YouTube channel. It's the Global Sunday Show, so you can be able to watch the beautiful full show and the news. We're gonna go to the news right now. We're gonna take a short break, and then we find out what's going on globally in the news. This is the Global Sunday Show with Lungani. We will be right back. Cheers. Diverse Global Studios, Africa #1.
But that's the start of it. Beginning. So tell me at the end, right when it's ready to cut to me. Welcome to the Global Sunday World News. Today is February 4th, 2024. Reporting for TGSN, I'm Mr. Ludden. I would like to start our news today with a very special announcement. Just a few hours ago, a young dancer from Brazil won the most prestigious award in the world for his dancing. It's called the Prix de Lausanne. This year, the winner was João Pedro dos Santos Silva. The significance of this award, this young man, just 16 years old, will become one of the leading stars in the history of classical ballet. He will have an avenue paved for him to dance with every major company on earth. Congratulations, João Pedro dos Santos Silva. And just on a side note, I met this young man in Brazil a few months ago, and I invited him to come to our academy as a guest at some point. This is before this happened, so he probably has his schedule booked now. He won't have time, but maybe we'll meet him here in Prescott. All right, on to the news. There are dangers of an escalating conflict in the Middle East after the U.S. unleashed its firepower, launching a wave of airstrikes inside Syria and Iraq. Inside Syria and Iraq. Washington calls it retaliation for last Sunday's drone attack that killed 3 U.S. soldiers. Both Syria and Iraq are condemning the attack, warning of dire consequences. The United States targeted 7 locations, wiping out supply lines, security facilities, and weapons storage sites connected to Iran's Revolutionary Guard and Iranian-backed militias. The U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin says, this is the start. While U.S. President Joe Biden warned, if you harm an American, the U.S. will respond. There were 85 individual targets in a series of airstrikes, which has been called the beginning of a multi-tiered response to the attack in Jordan a week ago that killed 3 American soldiers. The targets were all Iranian proxy groups and were designed to constrain Iran's capability to alter the balance of power in the Middle East. The White House is trying to avoid a conflict or a major war with Iran, while also trying to make it clear that attacks against the U.S. military abroad will not be tolerated. An official statement from the United States on Friday said, our response began today. It will continue at times and places of our choosing. The Austrian foreign minister, Alexander Schallenberg, said, I believe those who are attacking U.S. bases have to know that they are actually pouring oil onto the fire. This is a powder keg, the whole Middle East, and there are too many people running around with matches. Meanwhile, the Iraqi government condemned these strikes, saying that they will bring disastrous consequences to the region. Iran, meanwhile, called them another strategic mistake by the American government. The Iranian president, Ebrahim Raisi, said, we will not start a war, but if a cruel force wants to bully us, the Islamic Republic of Iran will give a strong response. Also in the Middle East, the United States and the United Kingdom launched another round of airstrikes against Houthi rebels in Yemen. The Pentagon says 36 Houthi targets in 13 different locations were hit. These sites are said to be holding weapons and equipment the Houthis have used to attack shipping and naval vessels in the Red Sea for months. This is the 3rd wave of airstrikes by British and American forces on the Houthis in retaliation for the armed group's aggression in the Red Sea. Now, there have been new revelations about Canada's policies regarding allowing Nazis to enter their country and letting them stay. Newly released documents reveal this information, bringing renewed pressure on the federal government to release more information in the wake of last year's standing ovation in Parliament in Canada for a man who fought in a notorious Nazi unit. Now we are learning more about former Prime Minister Pierre Trudeau's take on this subject as the demand for the release of more documents increases. Some Canadian Jews remember how in 1939, the MS St. Louis, a ship full of Jewish refugees fleeing Germany that year, was turned away by many nations, including Canada. There is a stark contrast between Canada's belief that none is too many, that supported denying safety to the Jews, and their newly revealed policies toward the Nazis. The daughter of one of the Jewish refugees said of the Nazis, these individuals eradicated all of my family, so I have no cousins, aunts, or uncles. The scandal over one of the Nazis, Waffen-SS, receiving a standing ovation in the House of Commons last fall, renewed activism on the subject of Jewish groups. The event showed an astonishing amount of historical ignorance and reinforces the need to get the records out. In the newly released documents, a Latvian Canadian known as Subject F, convicted in absentia by the Soviet Union as the captain of a firing squad which murdered 5,128 Jews, In 1967, Pierre Trudeau was against stripping subject as citizen, writing, the applicant's obligation is to satisfy the court that he is of good character. He is not required to satisfy the court that he at no time in the past committed an inappropriate act. There are more documents yet to be released, including the names of 240 suspected Nazi war criminals. The hope is that Canada will learn from its past, because there are many modern perpetrators who, like the Nazis before them, are trying to get into Canada to seek safe haven. Canada today must protect itself better than it did at the time of the Nazi influx. On to Africa now. Starlet Wahu and Rita Yewena are among the at least 14 women reportedly killed in Kenya in the first month of this year. Human Rights Watch calls it a national crisis, and women in Kenya are demanding action. Kenyan women are terrified to walk alone at night, are haunted by the constant fear of femicide, must be apprehensive about all of their interactions with men, are traumatized by the femicide case reports on the daily news. They feel that God does not protect them, and their agency and autonomy have been reduced to a debate among men of power. In Kenya, women are killed in great numbers, and girls feel unsafe on the streets. What will it take for the government to listen, take the fight against femicide seriously enough to take action? Gender-based violence is on the rise in Kenya, reminiscent of our recent reports of the same in Taliban-ruled Afghanistan. At least 500 women have been murdered in Kenya since 2016, but many in the country are saying that authorities are not doing enough about it. There are many groups in Kenya, and with Pan-African purview, fighting to bring awareness to gender injustice and provide protection and safe haven for women. One of the challenges is that most people either do not know about the growing problem of femicide or do not know the problem is far worse than they think. In Kenya alone, there are more than 21 killed this month so far. These are only the reported cases, which means that there are far more that go unreported, signifying that the crisis is much bigger than anticipated. Most cases go unnoticed and unreported. The numbers are staggering. 152 reported cases of gender-based murder last year was on top of the 21 in the month of January alone. Kenya is a largely patriarchal society, as are most societies around the world. In such societies, misogyny runs rampant. The male population has designated itself as the judges, executioners, and determinants of morality. Women are particularly targeted because they are supposed to be, quote, put in their place. They are to be acting in a certain way. They are to be submissive to male domination. Women are supposed to dress a certain way and are certainly not supposed to push back against such unfair and anti-human and punitive subjugation. As women begin to reclaim their voices back and demand for human rights, dignity, and respect, the men are getting very angry. As women claim the right to autonomy over their own bodies, claiming their own agency and the right to decide what they want to do with their own bodies, violence against them and murder increases in an alarming way. With advances in higher education for women around the world in the late 20th century that continues today, there are more and more professional women. These Kenyan women are lawyers, authors, political activists, and some are holding seats of power. And it is these women who are organizing protests, speaking out, raising the alarm, and creating a safety net for women against femicide. And now for our commentary. Bullies. We've all known some. We've all seen some. We've even watched and didn't intervene because we were afraid. There are many bullies today. As we just saw, men bully women. Russia bullies the Ukraine. Authoritarians bully the citizens. Dominant races bully minority populations. The rich bully the poor. The strong bully the weak. Religions bully other religions. Bullying is everywhere. But If someone is stronger, is anointed with wealth, fame, or power, why would they need to bully anyone? They need to bully it to prove they are richer, stronger, better, more popular, in control, dominant. Hmm. So, what does that mean? What exactly? What it means is that they need to prove it to themselves. It means that they don't feel richer, stronger, better, more popular. In fact, they feel less than in spite of their advantage. A bully is extremely insecure, and they do these egregious acts to convince a party of one, themselves, to convince their puny ego that they are worth something. Now, most parents tell their kids to fight back when somebody pushes or punches you. Common wisdom is that you can't let them get away with it. Well, my father had a different message. He told me that when someone resorts to violence, it means that they have run out of ideas or are unable to have ideas. They are ignorant. And if some ignorant bully has pushed you down, they've done it to prove to themselves that they are somehow better than you, which means they feel threatened by you, that maybe you're better than them. Do not push back. That's what he told me. And they will probably push you down again. Again, stand up, brush yourself off, but do not push back. If they go for a third time, which I know from experience almost never happens, just smile, get up, etc. I trusted my father and did as he suggested. And the result was startling. Each bully I had in my life, and as a male ballet dancer, there were many, ended up with them getting in trouble. Some went to jail. Others were fired from their jobs, and all suffered terrible humiliation. And every single one of them came back and apologized to me in the end, those that could. At least those who didn't spend many years in prison did. And they all ended up warning others to lay off little Kenny because he was very strong. Me, little, skinny, ballet dancer, me, very strong? You see, it takes far more strength to remain calm than to fly into a rage. It takes far more confidence in yourself to simply understand with pity the person who has no ability to think things through or figure things out or find a better solution to a problem. If someone calls you a chair, you don't get upset because you know you're not a chair. But if they call you stupid, watch out. Why do you think you might be stupid? If you can have the resilience to remain calm, to be above insult, and not be defined by another person's insecurity, then you are indeed very, very strong. I'm Ken Ludden. Thank you for watching. And now we'll return to our program.
Welcome back to the Global Sunday Show. I call this being naked
Right.
because we don't have a frame. Welcome back. Thank you so much for sharing those news. I mean, there are a lot of things that I wasn't aware of, and yeah, I'm glad that there's a show like this, the Global Sunday Show, where we get full updates of what's going on around the world. And congratulations to, I don't know, I don't even know how to say that.
Wow.
Say it again.
So say a D and a J at the same time. Joao.
Wow.
Right. Joao Pedro San uh, ah uh, Santos. San Santos Silva.
Yeah. Okay.
And
That's
and go on YouTube. Go on YouTube. Look up Pretty Lozon winner
right.
and watch this kid dance. He is amazing.
Yeah.
And he does it, and it's like it's nothing. You know what I mean? It's beautiful.
Wow. 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 That's amazing. Congratulations. Wow. Wow. Yeah.
He one of the ones that I actually worked with in Brazil
Hmm.
a few months ago, and I invited him to come in April, but he had to go to the Prix de Lausanne, and so now he won't be able to. He'll be so in demand. I mean, he just made the history books of all time.
Wow. Wow. I
He's up there in the ranks with like Reiner.
yeah, I was about to say, I know Rainer. Was it like 25 years ago?
It was 1999, so yeah, 25 years.
Mm, wow, wow. I mean, when did this competition or this audition, do you call it an audition or competition?
What it's called is a concourse.
Okay,
So
concourse.
a
Okay.
competition is like in sports, where one team is against another team or one person is against another person.
Mm,
A concourse is where all of them are competing against the world standard.
mm,
Okay. And all of the ballet directors, that's why I was so busy with it this week. All of the ballet directors on earth and the choreographers and the teachers are watching.
mm,
And so they watch to see who is ready to go from a private school to a professional school, who's ready to
mm,
go from a professional school into a company, who's ready to go in a company from the entry level to a soloist, or you know what I mean. It's the world standard and the standard of history that they're
mm.
competing against with, not each other.
Right, right, right.
It started in 1973 when I was 21 years old. So they only go till 18. So I was already too old. The big concourse before that was in I think Romania, and I didn't go to that because my active career started when I was 16, and so I was dancing already in companies all over the world. I was with the National Ballet, Washington Royal Ballet. I was just doing little teeny parts, but I was in the career, and I had
Right.
6 days a week, so I couldn't go to Varna. Varna, I think it's Varna in Bulgaria was the big concourse before Prix de Lausanne.
Mm.
And on the jury panel at this year, 9 of the 10 jurors all were the winning dancer one year, and I have worked with most of them.
Wow. Wow.
So
Yeah.
it was great watching, and I was supposed to be there, but I couldn't. I had things to do here, so I couldn't go. But um,
It does sound
it,
like a big deal indeed. Yeah.
it
Yeah.
is the biggest deal in the
Mm,
ballet.
mm, wow. That's interesting. Well, yeah, congratulations again. So we're gonna go to learn isiZulu, the moment a lot of people have been waiting for, so I can get bugged on the streets. So, Cowbona. I think it's really cool. It's fun. It's fun. And then I think end of February, I'm gonna give people a test using the words that we learned, maybe including you too. I'm gonna give everybody a test that they combine all the words that we learned and they create a
Mhm.
sentence.
Ah,
Aha! They create a sentence. And
my
then
sense. I'll start with la la.
oh yeah, that's your favorite Zulu word, lala. I think I should, yeah, maybe I should add that word next week. I'll have
Okay.
Lala next week, so people can understand what Lala. I mean, are you already? I mean, that explains it all. Do you know what Lala means? Oh, in Swahili. Okay, so in Zulu it means the same thing as Swahili. So same word, same definition as Swahili. That's interesting. That's really interesting. Wow, I'm so super excited.
All
All
right.
right. Yes.
Oh, I was going to say earlier when you were talking about language and the 3,000 languages in Africa,
Mhm.
many of them are related.
Yeah.
Um, and what do you call it? Ubuntu?
Ubuntu, yeah.
Yeah, Ubuntu. Say it again.
Ubuntu.
Ubuntu.
Yes.
Um, explain that concept because it's about the relationship, in my understanding, of those languages of the people of
Right.
Africa.
Yeah. 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 Those are specific people. And yeah, they have a lot of I think we'll talk about that when we come back, right? Let me teach them isiZulu and then by the way, isiZulu is one of the most popular language in Africa. So if you start there, you have in Africa, yeah, in Africa, in Africa. If you
The
well,
Sun is
Shaka Zulu, um, is one of the most famous king in the entire world, not just in Africa, in the entire world. One of the most famous king in the entire world. I think that's what got isiZulu famous as well. Um, and isiZulu is very, very connected to almost all the languages in the entire world. I don't know what it's called. I call them elements. The elements that you find in different languages, like ha, ha, ka, ka, you know, it has almost all of them. Afrikaans, Spanish, French, German, every element that you find in all the languages you find it's in isiZulu, which is really really interesting. So yeah, learning isiZulu will help you learn other languages as well, and it's very connected to a lot of African languages as well. So I'm not trying to like uplift, not because I'm Zulu. It's just a fact, It's just a fact. Okay. So are you dying to say something, Mr. Laden?
I wait till after.
Okay. All right. All right, short break and then we'll learn Zulu. This is the Global Sunday
Okay.
Show with Lungani. We'll be right back.
Diverse Global Studios, Africa #1.
All right, welcome to Learn Zulu with Lungani. I think this is the fourth lesson, if I'm not mistaken.
All right.
And I will be teaching you a new word. I hope you're ready. Please do continue. I love the fact that when you guys see me somewhere out there, you practice the words that I'm teaching here on the Global Sunday Show. And also, these videos are also available on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram as well. I do like shorts or reels where it just specifically teaching, isiZulu and these and these words. So yeah, drop a comment below if you learn something and you think this is useful, or if you have a suggestion, please do drop a comment below. Let's catch up. A couple of weeks ago, we learned Sawubona, which means hello, and how you spell it. Na, if you want to say it correctly and you don't want to sound like you silly or trying to, force it. You want to have the correct accent. Sawubona. As you can see below here, I've indicated for you the pronunciation of this word. Sawubona, hello. Doesn't matter in the morning, in the evening, in the afternoon, as long as you're seeing that person for the first time. Okay, you just said Sawubona. How do you respond? Um, Obviously, if you say Sawubona, a person will be like, oh, yeah, Sawubona unjani, which means how are you? How you spell how are you? Um, uh, how you spell unjani? Unjani. That's the correct accent. If you read below, you will have the correct accent. Unjani. How are you? How are you is simple. I can explain any further than this. Okay? And then now the third one is um when a person says unjani, okay, this one doesn't show, which is fine. Um you say ngiyaphila. Ngiyaphila. Well, I'll take this video and show you. Let me see if I can find that quickly because I don't know why it's not showing. So you said Sawubona, Sawubona, and then the person says unjani, and then you say ngiyaphila. I'm just gonna try and find the spelling for that for you as quickly as I can. Remember, you can drop a comment below. Let me know. or try to spell it. The more you type something, the more you learn about it, the more it sticks in your mind as well. Unjani, sawubona, ngiyaphila. Well, I can find it somehow. All right, that's fine. That's fine. All right. Let's move on. So today's lesson will be about kuluma. Kuluma. What does kuluma mean? Speak, as you can see over there. How do you spell it? Kuluma. Kuluma. As you can see below here, this is how you do the actual accent and the pronunciation so you don't sound silly or crazy or forceful. Okay? I can't explain any further. Kuluma means speak. It's like, you're speaking to somebody, when someone is quiet and they're not saying anything, you can say kuluma. Kuluma. You don't have to add anything. It explains it itself. Okay? Thank you so much for tuning in. Tune in next time. Same place, same time on Sunday. All right? If you have any questions, don't be shy to inbox me on my Instagram, on my Facebook, or you can ask for my phone number. But chocolate cake. Kuluma. I'll see you on the other side. Cheers.
Welcome back to the Global Sunday Show. I'm surprised you know the word kuluma, Langani. I don't think anybody's ever had to tell you to speak.
Well, are you forgetting the fact that I used to be called Mr. Talk Too Much? Oh,
Yes,
loudspeaker.
you're right.
So nobody need to tell me to talk. Once I start talking, it never ends. I just talk forever.
So what I wanted to say before, when you were talking about language and the development of language, particularly in Africa, first of all, everybody out there, whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever country you come from, wherever your ancestors came from, we all came from Africa. And that's something that you need to remember when you're thinking about these, like, global kind of things. In Africa, the Zulu tribe began in and around Ethiopia, Egypt, up in the north. And then through the ages, they worked their way all the way down to South Africa. And so it makes absolute sense that a lot of the base words and concepts come from the Zulu language. And so it's the heritage is very important. one of the things that makes that very remarkable, though, is that there are some different tribes of people. There you go.
Aha!
Niapila.
Yep.
Niapila.
Yes! Woohoo! That was
Niapila.
excellent. Yeah, absolutely.
So, but the thing is that in Ethiopia and Egypt, the whole northern Africa and Brazil, those are the two places in the world that you find the very best specimens of human biology.
Yeah.
And that is because for tens of thousands of years, they have been the ports of international trade, international exploration, visiting, all of that. And because of that, in those different areas, the bloodlines have mixed
Mm.
from all over the world. So it started in Africa, went all over the world, but then all throughout the shipping lines around northern Africa, both sides. You have Ethiopia, you have also got over in Egypt and that the eastern side. That's where all the boats could come. And so all the people from Europe and from Asia and the Americas and South America all went there. And then the other place was in Brazil, because Brazil has one of the largest coastlines on earth of any nation. And in those coastlines, you've got so many coves that boats can park or dock. I don't know, stop, because they didn't have docks at first. You
Mm.
know, that they're natural, they're protected from the weather, they're protected from the currents in the ocean. And so you have this mixing of the bloodlines. So what began in Africa dispersed around the world and then came back together. And so as somebody in ballet, when I find people from Brazil, of course, they're the best human specimens around. Other groups that have very, very good genetics are the Celts, and of course, the Vikings, you know, those that traveled by sea. There's a lot of very, very good human form in Polynesia,
Mm.
because it's because of the sea travel. And so that is why I'm not at all surprised that that IsiZulu is remnants of it are found in all of the languages.
Mm. It makes sense now. It makes sense. Absolutely. It makes
Not because you're Zulu. It's much bigger than that.
Yeah. And and there's so much culture as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I think there should be more research. You know, I think there are a lot of things to learn about and to find out. I know some of the things that we find in Africa, they're really hard to track.
Yeah.
Scientists, you know, they try their best and they try to help out, but a lot of things are really, really hard to track. But I think there are a lot of um, interesting things that we you know we could use as a whole, like as the whole world. You know, there was the lifestyle, the way of learning, like the schooling. Um, because one of the things that happens is we don't talk about how Africa used to be before, you know, before all these situations that I'm not gonna talk about right now, but you know, including being colonized and etc. We don't talk about what happened. How did they leave? How did they deal with these situations that we deal with right now? You know, because the world is
Right.
not new, and the things that we go through right now are not new things. There was a way before, you know, to deal with these things so people can continue to survive.
You know, I think that people should also study the cultures of Africa a lot more. I specialized in that in university. I did it through their art, but that included the poetry and all of the tribal lore and all of that. You know, many African tribes did not have particularly the Zulu, did not have a justice system. They didn't need it. The way that society was organized, the emphasis on the integrity of the individual. There are, for example, if someone, I know one of the people we have just off camera here is from Kenya, and I know um, in the tribal response to theft is severe.
Mm.
Now, in the southern sub-Saharan Africa, there are many, many tribes that if someone is caught stealing, and and for those of you who are not African, what you have to understand is that in a village, in a tribe, in a city, in an area, in a neighborhood, all the adults are the parents of all the children, and all the children are the parents, the children of all the adults. It's like you respect your elders. There is this sense of community that is pervasive to everything. And if someone steals, that goes directly opposite that sense of community. That's saying, my need, my want, my thing is more important than all you all. And that is egregious. That is a terrible thing. It breaks down all of society, all of civilization, all of community, all of family. And therefore, the penalties for theft are severe. Now, in many of the African sub-Saharan tribes, the penalty for theft was to be shunned. You couldn't even live in the area of that town anymore. You had to live outside of it, and no one would speak to you, no one would help you. And to be outside of community basically is a death sentence.
Right. Yeah. So
If somebody in one of those towns accepted you to live in their house, and they made sure that you had food, they made sure that you had shelter, then after a year, you might be welcomed back. But it was if somebody else stood up for your integrity. Now, think about if you're a child and that's the way it is. Think about what you learn about your own self, your own integrity, your own rules for yourself, your own awareness of all of your brothers and sisters, everybody who lives in that area, all of your parents, all of your community. And so we do have so much to learn from tribal African systems.
that,
And yeah.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I definitely agree, and that reminds me of something that is really interesting that we did as Africans. Um, so before that, I think that's like a modern way to punish people, because back in the days in Africa, the way so this is how it starts. When you are born, everybody used to have their own songs or their own song. So as a child, now it's like, and it's fading. Now it tend to be like one song that the mother would sing to a child. Now, as time was, going, as time changes, but originally every child will have their own song. So when you are born, you have a song that your mother sings to you as they make you fall asleep, right? And it's a positive song in which it goes also with the names that we were given as Africans. It's a positive name that kind of like give a positive energy to your life. Like, my name is Lungani, and it means be kind or be prepared, or it's something that is positive. So same thing, we used to give songs to babies, and if they ever go out of their way and steal or do something that is crazy, they were not punished, but the punishment was that the community will gather and sing the song for that person that will remind them who they are and where they come from. So that song will like take them back to when they were kids, and remember those fun times and those goals and those dreams that they have as they were growing up. And that's like the worst punishment ever, but it's better than killing somebody or, punishing somebody and putting them in jail, whatever the case may be. And the whole community will know that you have done wrong. That's enough punishment, you know. So that's how it used to be before, and then it started changing. Even the song started changing. It became just one song that every parent can sing to any child, like, oh Wamtwana, oh Mama Geko, it was like the same song for everybody, you know. But the original way of doing it was creating a specific song for that person that is inspiring, and um it's a reminder of who they are. I just wanted to add that from the story that you just told, you know. So I don't know, my thing is, I have no idea how far we are from how things used to be, and how much chances we have to go back to how things used to be so that we can live together as human beings again. I don't know. I don't know. It seems like something is getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and then eventually it's gonna explode, and then we go back to how things used to be before. That's the feeling that I have. But I don't know.
Well,
Again.
they say that for those who do not learn the history and remember it,
Mhm.
they are doomed to repeat it.
Mm.
And the thing is that, you know, with the introduction, I don't want to get into my lecture mode, and believe me, none of you want that either.
We have
Um,
5 minutes before the end of the show.
but when um, there is a introduction of competition and capitalism that happened in the late 1800s, and it it just made everybody. First of all, the measure of success suddenly became something that isn't even real. I don't know if you all know this, but money is not actually a thing. It's an idea. Currency is just an agreement.
Mm.
We could use old CDs as currency, in which case I'd be a very wealthy man. Um, and if it were vinyl records, I'd be the king of the world. But it's money, and money is just an idea.
Yeah.
And money in capitalism is the idea that if you have money, you owe somebody something. It doesn't mean that the money is powerful. The money represents a debt. It means I have something that's not mine.
Exactly.
And the more I make you want it, the more valuable it becomes to you. That's a horrible thing. Think about what that means. Taking something away from somebody and holding it until they find it so valuable because they don't have it that they will give anything to get it back. That's what money is.
Mm.
It's the tool for that. It's awful. Talk about bullying. It is the worst thing, and competition is that way too. And it cannot sustain. And so we will find our way as humans as long as we look at, know, communicate with, and appreciate each other.
Mm.
That's the true treasure in life. If you can love other people and be good and close with other people, nothing can harm you. And even the
Absolutely.
worst things that might happen, you've got support, you've got network. You're not hanging there by yourself alone.
Mm.
And that, for me, that's what life is all about. And it makes people very frustrated because I really don't want anything to do with money. I don't care about money. You know what I mean? It just and those around me will, after I'm dead, please, not while I'm still living, will tell stories about things that I've done and said when money became more important than reality.
Mm.
But those will be secrets,
Yeah.
right, Langani?
Well, it's a good idea. Yeah, that's a brilliant idea. Yeah, it's a brilliant
When I'm
idea.
dead, when I'm dead, then you can sing the song, He Hated Money.
Yeah. Okay, so we have 4 minutes before we close the show. Yeah. Thanks for sharing that. Really helpful. Do we have any last words? Before by the way, what you see here on my left hand side, I don't know what you see on the screen, but for me, it's on my right hand side. So I don't know. Is the word that I was looking for? It's ngiyaphila, which means I'm fine. So if you remember, we started with sawubona. From sawubona, a person will respond and say, "Hey, sawubona, unjani?" And then when they say unjani, it means how are you? And then how you respond is ngiyaphila, which means I'm fine, I'm okay, and I am alive. Okay, how you spell it? Ngiyaphila, like how you peel the orange. I almost say how you peel an apple. Do we peel apple? Yeah. I'm like at home we peel apple. Who's gonna tell me what? So yeah, this is how you spell it. When you see me, try these words. I'll correct you if you're wrong, and you learn, and it's just fantastic. It's fantastic. So yeah, any last words, Mr. Laden, before we close the show?
Well, I want to again extend my congratulations to Joao.
Hmm.
He is a remarkable young man. He's 16.
Wow.
So all of you and you young people will have him to watch for at least another 30 years or more, because a well-trained dancer's career will last into their late 40s, 50s, even 60s sometimes. And so it just my biggest congratulations to him.
Wow. Congratulations. Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Laden. And any words for a person who's watching at home? Hey, look, I know you were watching. If you're watching at home right now, we talked about a lot of things, a lot of changes that has occurred in this world. But I just wanna encourage you to not give up. I know things have. I've met a lot of young people who have given up in life because they lost trust in human being, they lost trust in life, they lost trust in the system and everything. But look, do not give up. Okay. If you change yourself, you can change the people that are around you. Change starts with yourself. Change yourself, and if you're not happy with the system, you know live your own life that you think is great, and it's helpful for other people who are around you, and then people will adopt that lifestyle as well, and then they will teach others and others, and it's a chain. Okay, so don't give up. Keep going. We need you in this world. If you are stressed right now and you're thinking of getting rid of yourself, do not do that. You are here for a reason, and we need you. Eventually you will meet somebody that connects with you, that is in line with your lifestyle. So do not give up at all. You're here for a reason. So Mr. Laden, any last words to a person who's watching at home right now?
Um, you know, I can't really add anything to what Lungani just said. Um, I guess what I'll say is what I said often and sometimes on this show. God, who is perfect, had a task, and of course, it had to be done perfectly. And that task was to create a universe that was always changing and yet always balanced. No matter what changes, it balances somehow. And in that world, the other requirement was that every individual, when they cross paths with another individual, both had everything they needed to grow in spirit and to grow to be closer to God and to make that world perfectly.
Mm, mm,
God created you.
mm.
You are essential to that perfect world. Never forget that.
Wow. They say nobody talks after Mr. Laden. By the way, this month we celebrating Black History Month. Started on the 1st of February. So yeah, happy Black History Month. I'm gonna say this. This is something I do not normally talk about. Okay, we are 1 minute over. Well, I'll say it some other time because it's Black History Month. We still have another couple of weeks. We can talk about it later. So yeah, thank you so much for watching the show. But sikhuluma na mfana wachathamba njani lungani kwala aka mfana ka chocolate. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you if you're watching on YouTube. Thank you if you're watching on Facebook, on Diverse TV. And I am going to post this on Instagram as well. Thank you. I'll see you next time. Same place, same time. Boo, 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 boo. Boo, 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 boo.
Um,
Bye-bye.